You're welcome back. We begin the news now at this hour with the good news of News Central Television officially launched on GoTV. Nigeria's leading tertiary television service provider. We're now available on GoTV channel 23. This expansion strengthens News Central's mission to amplify diverse voices and change mainstream narratives, bringing authentic Nigerian storytelling to an even wider audience. This strategic move follows successful launches on DSTV channel 422 and Star Times channel 274, along with other platforms across sub-Saharan Africa, solidifying News Central's position as a top broadcaster for engaging and impactful content across the continent. Viewers nationwide can now tune into News Central on GoTV channel 23 for comprehensive coverage of news, business, sports, and of course entertainment, and so much more. With a strong focus on bold reporting and solutions-driven journalism, News Central TV continues to reshape the media landscape with integrity, ensuring Nigerian voices are heard and valued globally. The senator representing Kogi Central has tendered a sexual harassment petition against Senate President Godswill Akpabio on the floor of the upper legislative chamber. Rising under Order 40 of the Senate rules, Akpoti Agdoga said she had made several or some comments on national television bordering on alleged sexual harassment by Akpabio and had decided to table the same as a petition before the Senate. Akpabio asked the senator to proceed with the submission of the petition, which she did. The Senate President has, however, denied the allegations. A federal high court in Abuja has halted the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions from disciplining Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of Kogi Central. Presiding Judge Obiora Agwatu has issued the order on Tuesday following an expedite application filed by Akpoti-Uduaghan's counsel. The ruling comes after her February 20th clash with Senate President Godswill Akpabio over seat allocation. Akpoti-Uduaghan has repeatedly raised a point of order despite being overruled. Senator Yemi Adaramodu of Ekiti Central has argued that her actions has damaged the Senate's image. Last week, the Senate had referred her to the Ethics Committee for review. However, the court's ruling now prevents further proceedings pending the outcome of the legal case. But Wednesday's plenary also witnessed a protest outside the Senate by marchers who are sympathetic to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's cause, who were dispersed by security operatives.
I am aware that the matters are in court. However, I would like to state clearly that at no time did I ever attempt any sexual harassment on the said distinguished Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan or any other woman for that matter. I and my siblings were raised very well by my late single mother. She died in year 2000, through very difficult times, and I therefore have the highest regards for women. I also wish to state that I also have 4 beautiful daughters, so at no time will I ever harass any woman, and I've never done so. In addition, even as a state governor, I was awarded various awards. One of them was the one you wish to know, the most gender-friendly governor in Nigeria. I served between 2007 and 2015. I urge all Nigerians, particularly the media, and then, of course, the members of the social media, to await the court's decision. And please do not jump to conclusions on matters of mere allegations.
Is in my name against the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, for sexual harassment, abuse of office, and malicious obstruction of my legislative functions, You may recall, sir, that on Friday in Arise TV, I did make some statements. And I have decided to narrow these statements in a formal petition against the President of this Senate. So if it may please you, I would humbly step forward and lay this petition. Thank you.
You may proceed.
For more on this, we're joined by Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. He is a lawyer and public affairs commentator in Lagos. Thanks for joining us, Tunji. I mean, let's just get started, shall we? With these latest developments at today's plenary, is this matter heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I think whether it's in the right direction or not, it is not in my mouth to say. Natasha has a claim against the Senate president, and she believes that probably the way she can get justice is by going through to court. So be it. Because the way I see the National Assembly today, particularly that Senate, and in particular regarding the issue of Natasha, there is no way she can get any justice from that for any committee at that assembly. These committees were set up by the Senate president, and the allegations against the Senate president. I don't know how such committee will find against the Senate president. Even when she has not even laid the petition, some of them are already speaking in favor of the Senate president. So for me, see, there's no other way she can go than to go to court, which is neutral, to determine a claim. I'm not sure the allegation regarding harassment is already in court. He hasn't filed anything regarding that. The one she filed before the court is defamation of character, and the other one she just filed is for them not to, for the committee not to sit. So the issue of harassment is not before the court as of today. She hasn't filed any case in that regard. To answer your question specifically, I believe the only option that is likely positive for her is going through the courts. Even though the members of the National Assembly will make us to understand that taking the issue of assembly to court is not proper and it's against their order and protocols. But in a situation where you believe that you won't get justice, you don't have any other option than to go to where you get justice.
So I have to ask about this turn that she's taken, right? Do you see this being playing out negatively for her?
Definitely, it will work against her. Definitely, that I can assure you. That will work against her negatively. But I also believe that with time they will settle the matter out of court. But that particular step will work against her. Probably in the rest of her stay at the Senate.
Now let's look at her time here in the Senate, right? She said that, the sitting arrangements, what sprung this up was her displeasure with the sitting arrangements and what she deems to be unfair treatments and her not being able to put out motions, especially for Kogi Central, which is the central districts that she represents. Do the Senate standing rules and the Senate standing rules and the privileges senators enjoy on the floor not fly in the face of, petitioning the Senate president himself? Like she moving forward to petition the Senate president, putting a motion forward. Would this help in any way, with the whole legal side and her, being able to enjoy the privileges that she said she didn't used to?
Like I said earlier on, definitely that will work against her. Because the Senate president would definitely not allow her to enjoy some of the things she may likely enjoy because of this particular claim. But I think for this purpose, in the course of proceeding, any issue that regarding Natasha, I think the Senate president should step down in that regard. Whenever issue that has to do with Natasha issues to be discussed, he should step down, another person should take over and then do the proceeding in that regard. But I'm aware the committee has been set up and the committee has been instructed to stay proceeding pending when the case in the court will be determined, or the motion for injunction will be determined in court. Definitely, it will affect her, like I said earlier. It will definitely affect her. But I am also aware that it is the discretion of the Senate president to assign seats. What this issue or this Ulabalu probably was due to the issue of what Natasha has in mind, the issue of sexual harassment. Probably that was what brought this aggravated response to the arrangement. And I also think that the Senate President, as a leader, ought not to find it difficult to even explain to her, even while she was not sitting at her place. There's nothing difficult in telling her, look, this is the reason why we do this. This is the reason why we do that. You cannot say until you sit in your place, we will not tell you anything. No, the laws are made for men, and men are for law. So law is not something that is static that we cannot bend. When you explain to her, then she will understand what you are saying. Similar thing happened to the state president. Yeah. And Dr. Blakazaki took time to explain to him. And when he got that explanation, he rendered apology. So if that has happened here, probably the issue of outburst from Senator Natasha would not have happened. The state president did not handle it very well as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, Tunji, I must say thank you. Tunji Abdul Hamid, he's a lawyer and, of course, a public affairs analyst, just giving us a bit of insight following the motion that has now been filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Aduaga, who represents the Kogi Central, against the Senate President on grounds allegations of sexual harassment. Once again, thank you. And you're welcome back. The River State government has said it has yet to receive any document on the Martin Amawale-led House of Assembly resolution following last Friday's Supreme Court judgment. The Speaker, Martin Amawale, in a letter addressed to the River State government, Siminalayi Fubara, on Monday requested Fubara to present the 2025 appropriation bill to the House within 48 hours. But in a statement on Wednesday, the Secretary to the River State government, Dr. Tami Nada Gogo, he maintained that the governor has yet to receive the letter, saying that the state government heard of the purported deadline on social media. The political crisis in River State is taking a new dimension. The council chairman, elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress in 2015 and sacked from office in the same year, laying claim to the local governments. Speaking during a press briefing in Port Harcourt on Tuesday, the former chairman said the Court of Appeal has overturned the Federal High Court judgment which sacks them, and as such, they are back to office. They further insist they don't need to take any further oath of office as their 2015 oath still subsists. They further called on the governor to work with them because in their view, they are the only ones legally empowered to occupy the vacancies in the councils.
Been sworn in 2015, and when the Court of Appeal upturned the judgment of the Federal High Court, what was restored was not only our mandate only, including the swearing in. If we venture to swear in another one, we are taking a different oath of office. For the purpose of those, of course, we know our laws. There are a number of oaths of office you will take. You will be precluded from vying for the same position any longer. That is why we are no longer going to take any other oath of office. It is not that we are cutting short.
The appeal court has set aside the judgment of the Federal Court, have removed the legal impediments before us. What is left is simply administrative bureaucracy. For instance, we had the governor say, asking the HLGAs, all right, to take over. I'm sure they're waiting. How do you say he's waiting for the CTC of the Supreme Court and other judgments, right? So when the CTC of the Supreme Court judgment comes, and that of Court of Appeal comes, you hear the next steps that will happen. But the point to take home here is that the validity of these councils has been established by law. But also how people have said that they want to go back to councils because local government laws amended the Martin Amawale and Co. to extend their term for 6 months. Again, let's use the opportunity to clear your doubts. That has no legal foundation anywhere. Whereas they did that, on which premise those guys in 2021, 2024 want to dream they can come back. Whereas they did that, the High Court of River State, presided by Justice DGQ, nullified that amendment in an originating summons filed by Yenda Kurigam and 6 others against the Governor of River State. That was in last year, and that was in May 2024. They filed an appeal. An appeal court unanimously dismissed appeals. In July, I think that was same May. Now they.
And joining us now is Peter Ahmed from Abuja to give us a bit of more perspective on this new development. Mr. Ahmed, many thanks for joining us. Just when we thought peace may be coming to Rivers State, a new twist emerges. Are you surprised? Let's start there.
I'm surprised because for politicians, I think they think Nigerians we are playing all the time. The problem with the local government election in Rivers State is the fact that when it comes to Section 7 of the Constitution, where the place of the local government is, giving authority, whether by finance, their governance structure and all that, the local government is an autonomous body that is created by the Constitution and should have all the, the guarantee of tenure to be able to work. And that's what was done when the Supreme Court made the decision, as regards the, direct life charge, for money to be paid to the local government system. As it is now, with the current decision by the Supreme Court that this current local government election does not hold and that a new election should be conducted, the only thing that is left is not by all those people who are there before or who are there during Wake's time to come back. And that's why we are really worried about double standard in Nigeria, because if we could dissolve a democratically elected local government and then find out so much could not allow Fubara to be able to also go along to conduct a fresh election, we need Section 197 of the Constitution to be properly amended to give some level of independence to State Independent Electoral Commission, because we cannot continue to have a situation where we have this system in place and State Independent Electoral Commission continue to experience the level of interference they have, and people who are elected does not have guarantee of tenure except with the decision of the Supreme Court. So if there's anything that must be done now, is that the most senior administrative head, it doesn't have to come by the governor giving directive. It's a natural process that the most senior administrative head of the local government is supposed to take over and then continue to administer the affairs of the local government. And that's why I'm worried that the Supreme Court will stop the funding of the local government when there's a process by which the local government administration can continue administratively, pending when a valid election is conducted. I am also worried that the nullification of this local government election was done the fact that the local government did not take it, the SIEC, State Independent Electoral Commission of Rivers State, did not use the Electoral Act. This Electoral Act was an act of the National Assembly. And if Electoral Act was made for federal laws, we are talking that Nigeria is a federal republic. And the federal republic is a system that has more than one level of governance system. When you have you have the federal, you have the state and the local government. So you cannot have the federal government using the same electoral act to conduct local government election. And when we are looking for as much as possible to try to either devolve power to other unit of our governance system, or to also make it less cumbersome, so that we can have a system where we can manage each of these local government within the state, and also respect the level of the federating unit that we have come to use as our governance model. So for generally speaking, it is only a new election that can anoint and then state that new people will come on board and they have guarantee of tenure devoid of Section 197 and Section 162 when it comes to financial independence of the local government.
Well, we've seen local government issues and just the state electoral bodies and how this whole controversy and the autonomy or no autonomy has played out, not just in Rivers State but also in Osun as well, and the other states that have conducted local government chairmanship. I think the local government elections, I think that the next discourse that should be on the national stage should be the full autonomy, and you are very clear on that. But away from that, we're now at the deadline, or should I say the deadline have now passed for the budget presentation, the ultimatum that was issued to the River State government by the Martin Amawale-led assembly. I have to ask you, what follows next for River State? The state secretary is saying that they didn't get any notification, that they heard about the ultimatum on social media. What's next?
administration is not done on social media, and in all of this, it is the state, the city, indigenous of the state that will suffer. We need to be able to have this interest that governance is not made for people in government, and the people should not continue to suffer the power tussle between those who want to hold on to the structure of the state. What should be most important is for us, just as we have defined that state will have their money from direct light charge, the state should be able to know that the effect of no financing and no budgeting for the state has a very, very strong negative effect on the welfare of the people. Because all projects as regards contract, as regards funding for implementation, funding for schools, funding for hospital, will not be put at abeyance. So we need to have a system where those who come into government, see, the Supreme Court, through the Attorney General of the Federation, have done something novel. When they talked about the state and local government joint account not being in that should be abolished, and the local government should get their money directly. But Section 197 that talks about CX, we need to also review that, because in the 8th Senate under Saraki, that was done. But the state assembly rejected it, because we need to talk of the state to be able to pass, to give independence of election, management of our electoral system in the local government to CX. So we cannot have that to thought, because the governors have become a clog in the wheel of progress. They will never allow the state assemblies to be able to take independent decision, and the state assembly have never been independent. Today, this other side are with Wiki. By tomorrow, there will another group of people, if Fubara gets elected, will not be on his side. So we need to have state assembly that are not, spineless bulldog, spineless, they call it lawmakers, that are not moving towards power that be in the state, but that will look at laws, because their main function is to make laws for the good governance and development of either River State, Kogi State, or Adamawa State. So they should look at the law-making process is the most important process for the state to be able to go forward. Because if there's no law, probably to check security, probably to be able to make an appropriation act that will give effective financing to healthcare, then the state will continue to be in a retrogressive state. So what we have today is the fact that people are no longer interested in the people. Those elected are only thinking that they are beholden to their own authority and continue to play selfish game on behalf of against the wish of the people.
All right. Mr. Ahmed, we must say thank you. Peter Ahmed there, all the way from Abuja, joining us to give us a bit of more just perspective on the unfolding or the Rivers State government crisis. Thank you again for coming on. Switch gears from state politics to security matters. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to establish a military base in Zamfara State to tackle the escalating banditry crisis in the region. The resolution was adopted following a motion moved by Hassan Shinkafi, the lawmaker representing Shinkafi Zumi, local federal constituency, during Tuesday's plenary session. Shinkafi, who's a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, raised concerns over the worsening security situation in Shinkafi and Zumi local government areas, where residents have been subjected to increased attacks, killings, and kidnappings. He noted that over 40 villages have been affected, forcing many to flee their homes. While commending the state government's efforts in blocking bandit supply routes and holding security meetings, Shinkafi stressed that more action is needed. He called for a well-equipped permanent military base in key locations, including Magaria, Karia, as well as Kwari and Dutsi, to restore peace and stability. Residents of Jibia local government area in Katsina State have successfully negotiated a peace agreement with armed bandits aiming to end years of violence and insecurity in the region. The historic reconciliation took place on Friday, February 28, 2025 in Kwari Village and was facilitated by the Jibia People's Forum led by Alhaji Gidan Dahiru. As part of the agreement, the bandits surrendered 2 AK-47 rifles and admitted to abduction of 10 individuals from Dandara town who have since been released. Security analyst Zaga Zulu Makama, who shared the news on social media, stated that the residents have demanded an end to attacks on Jibia town and surrounding areas, protection for farmers, and the seizure of cattle rustling. In return, the bandits have pledged to abide by government laws, halt criminal activities, and end cattle rustling, marking a crucial step towards lasting peace in the region. And now to more security concerns. Residents of Benin City in Edo State on Tuesday took to the streets to protest the gruesome murder of a middle-aged man at a building site where he was working. The protesters who took to their march to the State House of Assembly and the Police State Command called for thorough investigation into the incident that led to the death of the father of 3. Registering their displeasure at the manner in which the deceased was killed, they revealed that before his death, he was the breadwinner of his family, and they say his death puts the future of his wife and 3 children in jeopardy. Addressing the protesters, the Speaker of Edo State House of Assembly, Blessings Agbebaku, and the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Ben Abang, assured them that justice will be served.
When a dog kills a lion, that society or that state is not safe. We want to use this opportunity to appeal to the Speaker of Edo State House of Assembly to do the needful to make sure that the lives and properties of Edo people, citizens of this country, are safe.
Efe is just a young man on his own, trying to meet up with his daily needs. He only went to that community. He's not a community personnel in Agbebaku community. Efe just only went there to get daily bread, and at the end of the day, we only met him dead there. So the state government should help us find justice for who killed Efe.
It's very sad. I don't have a lot to say that I personally go into this matter. In conjunction with the CP and all the security outfits, with the public safety committee here in the house, we will personally go into this matter. Because if we don't go into it, it will keep on eating itself.
And the Inspector General of Police, I am telling you, justice in this case will stand. I feel your pulse. As sad as it is, we also feel it. Our job is to ensure justice prevails, especially in this case.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, there's more. Stay here. And welcome back. Dozens of people have been killed or injured in the artillery shelling at the Abu Shak displacement camp in Al-Fasher, the capital Sudan's North Darfur state. The camp, which houses more than 500,000 displaced people, is located in the northern part of Al-Fasher and has been subjected to daily shelling by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, leading to the displacement of about 70% of its residents. Thousands of homes, water sources and medical facilities have also been destroyed. The Abu Shank camp's media officer put the number of dead or injured at more than 80. He said the shells struck the camp's main market, a crowded civilian area, as well as homes and shelters built for the displaced for protection. Human Rights Watch has accused the Zambian government of enabling hazardous mining in the lead-contaminated town of Kabwa, worsening severe health risks for children. Kabwa, located 150 kilometers north of Lusaka, has remained one of the world's most polluted areas due to decades of lead and zinc mining. Despite the mine's closure in 1994, residents have continued to face high levels of toxic lead exposure from contaminated soil and dust. The Human Rights Watch has reported that authorities have issued mining licenses to South African, Chinese and local firms, allowing lead waste extraction at the cost of children's health. The The organization has urged the government to revoke permits and clean up pollution. A report has revealed that 95% of children near the mine have elevated blood lead levels, with half requiring urgent medical attention. President Donald Trump has delivered a combative address to Congress, marking his first since regaining power. He framed the speech as a victory lap, touting his rapid changes to U.S. policy, but his remarks met with partisan backlash. Trump's agenda, which includes controversial tariffs, government cuts, and aggressive foreign policy, has stirred opposition within both parties. The president faced protests from Democratic lawmakers, with some leaving the chamber in dissent. He, in particular, Rep. Al Green, was escorted out of the chamber after shouting at the president, while Senator Elisa Slotkin criticized Trump's foreign policy and suggesting he lacked belief in America's exceptionalism. Trump continued to emphasize culture war issues, targeting policies on affirmative action and transgender rights while promoting economic reforms. His proposed tariffs aimed at Mexico, Canada, and China are expected to shake markets and deepen divides.
Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing.
And joining us now is our international correspondent, Afia Hagen, to give us more insight on this when she's not giving insight on royal matters. Afia, as always, it's good to have you. Let's just get started, shall we? What are the key takeaways from Trump's address to Congress yesterday?
Well, this was a 99-minute speech that he gave, and the real message, and that's what he started with, is America is back. He said that the American dream is unstoppable. So one of the key takeaways that you had there actually is that Trump has predicted that it may be a bumpy ride because of the tariff situation. So those tariffs came into effect against Mexico and Canada, and both those countries are expected to put their own tariffs into effect as well. There's going to be retaliatory tariffs. Now, we know that Trump is expected to meet with Justin Trudeau later on today. Perhaps there can be a resolution in that situation. The Mexican Prime Minister, Claudia Sheinbaum, is going to announce her own retaliatory tariffs on Sunday. So he predicted there will be a bit of a bumpy ride, and the markets have reflected that as well, down yesterday and down on opening this morning as well. And actually back to where they were pre-election times. The markets enjoyed a bit of a bump post-election, and now they're back down to where they were actually to the day of the election. And now to Ukraine, a minerals deal with Ukraine looks like it's back on, and that's partly because President Zelensky of Ukraine wrote a letter to Trump, some of the content of which he posted on social media. Zelensky did anyway, and basically saying that he was offering an olive branch and still wants to come to the table to sign that minerals deal to pave the way for a peace plan. Greenland is still in the sights of the US as well. Trump saying we're going to get it one way or the other. Also saying that his administration would reclaim the Panama Canal. Elon Musk, he was hailed during the speech as well, with Trump saying, "Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard." He stood up and received a standing ovation as well. And Trump is also betting on energy to bring down inflation, with Trump saying we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation, and by far, and I will fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill Baby Drill.
Still on that drill, baby drill, marching order from his inauguration speech. What has been the reaction then to this speech?
Well, like I said, the markets dropped quite sharply yesterday. And when they've opened today around 15 minutes ago, the markets are still quite low. Democrats who were in the House, you saw a lot of them there wearing pink, the women wearing pink to protest. You had Representative Al Green of Texas, who was escorted out of the chamber for heckling the president, basically holding up signs saying that all this that Trump was saying was lies, asking for the truth to be told, especially about Elon Musk, about Doge. Democrats in the House were very, very upset at what Trump is saying, at what he's been purporting, and actually what he has been doing to America. Now, Elisa Slotkin, who's the Democratic member for Michigan, she is a first-time senator who was chose to deliver the party's official response to Trump's speech, and she accused Trump of an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends and warned that he was walking America right into a recession.
Well, Afia, we want to say thank you, Afia Hagen, our international correspondent. We'll pretty much go more into this for a subsequent bulletin at 6 p.m. But Afia, once again, many thanks. Going live now to the National Assembly in Abuja, where the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions has begun hearing on the allegation of sexual harassment brought against the President of the Senate, and that's Godswill Akpabio, by the Senator representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduoga.
While I am aware,
reading, I noticed she just went out. And on that very day, one of the senators from Kogi State, Senator Issa Jibrin, stood and raised another point of order, pleading and apologizing to the Senate on her behalf. And Senator Karimi Sunday also corroborated with the addition that he too, she should apologize to him for showing an insultive words on him on an issue that is not even known to him. He did not act it, and he told her about this was what those things happened. So, in brief, this is what I know, what I could remember on that very day. And immediately after that, on Monday, I summoned a meeting where I asked like 5 of my staff to tell me what they could remember that transpired on that very day. Sandra, Mekazwa Bari Karshi, Messi, Rashid, Esther, they have all, and Udime, they have all presented what they attach here that I would like to, if allowed, I will submit to the committee. Thank you, sir. Clerk.
Thank you, Sergeant Adams, for that elaborate and clear and concise account of what happened. Before we continue, I urge to my colleague here to introduce himself. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Now, let me inform us that today, in the plenary, as on the floor of the Senate, distinguished Senator Natasha Akpoti presented a petition before the Senate, and there were a lot of objections to those to that petition because of the manner in which it came. But in the wisdom of the Senate President, it was still referred to us, to this committee. And for us to save time, because we need to make a report to report back to the Senate in a few days, I will address that that petition. But I will go through our amended. That petition, for what she read on the floor and for what I've seen, is making some allegations that are already in court. It's already in court. And it is the procedure of this committee. As a matter of fact, the first thing we ask when the petition comes before us is whether or not that petition is before any law court. And if the answer is yes, we do not touch such petitions. In addition to that, our Red Book also, under Order 40, has also laid down the processes that must be followed before a petition is laid. And if you allow me, Order 40 of our rule book, subsection 4, says that no senator may present to the Senate a petition signed by him or herself. In other words, I cannot submit a petition about myself signed by myself. That petition ought to be presented by another senator. And I'm sure that there are 3 senators from Kogi State, as it is with other states. Or any other senator could have obliged her to present that report. And that was not done. That's a direct contravention of our rule book. Now, we also have subsection 4 that, well, I'm not going to go into the issue of the sitting arrangement. I really don't want to go into that. The committee will meet after this hearing, public hearing, and to take a decision on all of that. But that report, we will not even touch it because it's a matter before the court. And on top of it, I went to the office as I left the chambers and I found a notice from M.J. Numa and Partners, LLP. They say they are trial attorneys and transaction advisors. And they have presented to me a motion and a road order from the court attempting to stop this committee from doing its work. This is unacceptable. Indeed, we should actually let the world know that there is what they call separation of powers in our Constitution. The judiciary, like I just told you, if there's a matter before them, we do not touch those matters. We know as parliamentarians what our rights, privileges are. And one of those things is we moderate what we do in the Senate. It is not subject to any court. And so in the Senate, whatever happens there happens within the Senate and not subject to any other court. The issue before us today is the issue of an alleged misconduct of one of our distinguished senators on the floor of the Senate. And there are rules that guide such conduct and such behavior. It is not subject to any court outside this committee. And so we do not actually pay much reference to this order that came. We are going back on our rule book, like I said before, that the petition she presented today is actually dead on arrival. And I say that because it runs contrary to Order 40, subsection 4, that no senator may present to the Senate a petition signed by him or herself. And that petition, having been signed by her, will not be entertained by this committee. And so, ladies and gentlemen, she's not here. Now I can understand why she's not here. She's probably not here on the order of her lawyers. That being the case, the committee will sit and will deliberate on what we've gotten from distinguished senators that have presented their cases before us and the senator arms, and based on our rule books and all other documents that is available to us, to make a decision here and then make a referral to the full Senate. I will yield yield the floor to any senator, distinguished senators, that may have one or two things to say on this matter before we close.
Can you hear me now? I think it's important that I add a few words to what the chairman of this committee has said. And I think it's important for a bit of clarity, particularly given the way, with respect, the press has reported this and this twist or slang that the press has given to it. I think it's important that we understand something. And I will give a bit of a background so we understand what we are faced with here. The first is to say that the incidents that has brought us here this afternoon happened during Senate plenary. And I think it's important that we understand that. And why do I emphasize that? Is that during Senate plenary, senators are at liberty to debate, to speak, voice their opinions, and there is immunity. That is why what we say on the floor of the Senate, no outsider can come and say, I sue you. However, for there to be decorum, the rule then says this must be the conduct of senators during plenary. Because the rule recognizes that you cannot take us to court. But there must be decorum. So the rule sets out what decorum must be. One of them is that you are allocated a seat by the presiding officer, the Senate President. He allocates you a seat and you must sit there. Why must you sit there? So that there can be the conduct of the business of the Senate is properly regulated. The moment you do not do that, then you have chaos. The moment you do not do that is that you can do whatever you want to do and there are no repercussions. Then the rule book goes on to now say, if you don't do certain things, these are the consequences. I want you to bear something in mind. Today, the Swiss Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan went and sat at her allocated seat. Why? Because she recognizes that the point of order that she wants to make today, she will not be able to make it except she sits at her seat. Except she sits at her seat. Now, that for me shows that it is an admission that what she did before today was wrong. Let us put things in perspective. If she felt that what she did the other day was right, she would have sat at this. They don't want to hear a petition. Now, in placing a petition, there is also a rule. Senator Uduaghan is a lawyer. If you file a case in court, there's a procedure to follow for the court to assume jurisdiction. There's a procedure here. That procedure says you cannot yourself lay a petition signed by you, complaining about conduct that you say was visited on you. And that is what the chairman is saying. That we will listen to you provided you follow our procedure. It will be wrong for us to sit here and allow the procedure and rules and regulations of the Senate to be violated. It's not about her. If Adeni Ayodele Adegbomi does it tomorrow, then I'm not entitled to be heard. And I think it's important that you, the pressmen, understand what we are facing here. There's no witch hunting. And therefore, all that was said on the floor of the Senate today is that go and follow the rule in presenting your petition. And that is what the chairman is saying. We will listen to you provided you follow the rules. Now, let me say something before I stop. I listened to her when she said, oh, I have order 10. I can raise any order from anywhere. But today she didn't do that now. She didn't do that. And why did she do that? It is only Article 6, Order 6, that talks about sitting arrangement and compels you to talk from where you are seated. So if you are moving a motion, can I go and sit with the clerk? Or sit beside the Senate President? Where is it written? Even in Order 10 that this is where you must sit. Only Order 6 talks about where you must sit. And that order says you will sit and be heard from your seat. Let us please understand that. It is not.
And that was proceedings there from the Senate Committee on Ethics Privileges, just moving on the motion that was filed against the Senate President on sexual harassment allegations by Senator Natasha Akpotodwaga representing Kogi Central. Now, two things were noted there. They said the sexual harassment situation cannot be addressed because it's already in court, and going by the rules and the regulations of the House, the Senate House, they cannot move on any motion that is already in court. And then secondly, on the case of the House, of the sitting arrangements, they're yet to address on that because they need she was not supposed to sign on that motion. She's supposed to find somebody else on the same state, that's the same Kogi, because there are 3 senators that represent Kogi Central, East and West, and so one of them is supposed to sign on that petition and not herself, and so they cannot move on that petition. Now we're going to continue following the story to see the update on that, but so far that's the update. But here's where we close the curtain for this hour. Remember, they can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 4221, Go TV channel 23, or also on StarTime channel 274. You are also on Avo TV and can find us on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.